We live. We live. All right. Looky here. Looky here. We're gonna talk about what's going on in the boxing atmosphere today. Uh, this is gonna be the prediction on Tim Tszyu versus Tony Harrison. This is a really good matchup to me. I feel like they both have great attributes, and not only that, this is a must-win fight for both if they looking to take their career to that next level. But first, I'd like to go over the fights that happened over the weekend, just this weekend, which is Mark Maxio versus Brandon Figueroa. Man, what a fight! And not only that, boxing has been going really good this 2023 so far. I like all the matchups I've been seeing. Like, just think to yourself, how many how many matchups have you seen so far that could be contenders for fight of the year? Through all the different promotions and all that. The Zone has had their few fights. Who else? ESPN, Showtime. It's just been really good fights lately. Maybe not the big names that you want to hear, but it's good fights that I see. Because if you're a real fight fan, when you used to watch boxing, sometimes you wouldn't even look at the main card. You wouldn't even look at the first few fights because they're so disproportionate. When I say that, I mean this: the A side and the B like is a drastic difference in the caliber of fighters that they're going against. So you would see maybe this fighter, let's say for example, Charlo versus some guy you never heard of, and you would just go, "Hey, I know he's gonna lose that fight." Just is a fact. You know it. But that card right there, that Mark Maxio card with Brandon Figueroa, what a card. Start off with the undercards. Young Trayvon, I forgot his last name. His name is Trayvon something. I think it's Hall, but I don't remember. But I like the way he fights. He's a good fighter. They're gonna bring him along nicely. I like the way his style of fighting. He seems intelligent as well, not a boxer puncher, so to say. So you can't really be mad about his performance. I liked it. Also, young Elijah Garcia, look at him. He came in 19 years old, already married, so he has the focus, lives on the ranch, so also the focus again, got kids. I like the way he fights. He's a come forward fighter, but he knows how to box. It's just one thing, Elijah. You you're too young for that, right? Like, I'm not saying you're too young. I'm just saying I'm the type of I like boxing. I like UFC. I like the fight game, but I want the fighters to be able to leave the sport and go back to their family when they retire and be able to pronunciate and enunciate their words just like me and you, people that don't really fight, you know? Because I see some of my favorite fighters that went through too much. For example, the first name that comes to mind that I know is still alive, straight to mind, is James Toney. I remember on one of his interviews, on a few of them, matter of fact, man, I was like, damn. I had to really sit there and try to listen because you can't really, and that's from all the wars, all that, everything they gave us, they left it in the ring. That's why sometimes you see these fighters, they're demanding so much, but that's what they're owed, especially if they're in that caliber. But I kind of went off track. That was a great fight. The main event on the card. Well, matter of fact, let me not forget about Jarrett Hurd and Resendez. Man, that was a back and forth fight as well. The first fight didn't last as long. Elijah Garcia took care of business in the first 4 rounds, but it was a back and forth first 4 rounds. It was a competitive fight, but in my opinion, Elijah Garcia was a little more dominant, showed a little more class. And in the Jarrett Hurd and Resendez fight, it was back and forth. But also in that fight, I felt Resendez took more of the he gave more of the better blows, things like that of that nature. And you just seen, it made me start to think, Did Jarrett Hurd? Have we seen the best of Jarrett Hurd? Is he a shell of himself now due to all those wars he's been in with the likes of Charles? Did he fight Charlo? Well, I know for sure he fought J-Rock. He fought Tony Harrison. He had a few close, uh, rough and tumble fights. So that kind of takes years away from your career, just like Elijah Garcia. That could be him. That's what I'm saying. And I know Elijah Garcia, I can see that he could box. So I just think he should try to use his boxing a little more and not be such a come forward fighter, so to say. But the future is bright for him. I think he can be a world champion. He's at 160. That's an open weight class. And then back to the Jarrett Hurd. Jarrett Hurd, I don't know if we've seen the last of him. Is he a shell of himself? Has all those tough wars got to him? I'm starting to think so. Jarrett Hurd, a hell of a fighter, but his one thing is like he just comes forward, he fights. Sometimes he needs to box more than he uses his grit and his moxie. And then in the main event, Mark Magsayo versus Brandon Figueroa, another back and forth fight. Magsayo was throwing off his combinations, but the one thing I seen this fight out of Brandon Figueroa is just a little bit better head movement. I seen him use footwork. He kept switching his stance. I was like, hold on. But I guess he did that just to make Mark Magsayo think a little more, have him pondering. I like Brandon Figueroa. He's showing more wrinkles to his game than I believe that he had. He's showing me that he possibly can move a little more. He's not just a come forward fighter, even though he likes to do that. He does have the capability of being a little bit more defensive than he tends to be. It was a good fight. I liked it. I really liked it. Mark Magsayo had to do more in order to win that fight. And I just felt he didn't do enough to do that. And now we go into the Tony. Well, before I get into Tony Harrison and Tim Tszyu, let's talk about my young boy, Diego Pacheco. Hey, I've been talking about him for a little while now. I really like his boxing style. And the only thing I've been seeing from him is improvement through the years. I watched him, I want to say maybe not his DAZN debut, but maybe after his first 2 or 3 fights. But I seen him, the first time I seen him, I liked a little bit of his style. You could see that you could see his amateur pedigree. When I first seen him, I just thought he was a bit stiff. But now I'm starting to see a better movement as far as his footwork and his head movement. Not only that, his punch selection and the variation in punches, should I say. I'm seeing the improvements since he's been with Jose Benavidez Sr. I like it. And not only that, he's getting mentorship and tutelage from David Benavidez himself, which he is the youngest middleweight champion ever at 160, super middleweight. Should I correct myself, at 168? I believe he won it when he was like 19 or 20, maybe 21. But yes, that has been looking like a really good move for him. I've liked the wrinkles I've seen in his game since then. The one thing that I like about this fight that's coming up, he's going against a fighter that has, because Diego Pacheco, he's a tall fighter for 168. If I'm not mistaken, he's like 6'4", 6'5", and he's fighting someone around that height. So his reach advantage isn't as big, or maybe it's nullified. I didn't check the pure details, the exact details, should I say. But I really like this fight because I feel as though it'll show us a lot. Well, it'll show us more about Benavidez. I mean, correction, not Benavidez, but my boy Diego Pacheco, a young up-and-coming fighter. And if I was a gambling man, from everything I've seen to this point, I would bet a large amount of money that he will become a super I'm tongue-tied, a world champion at super middleweight. He will become a super middleweight world champion someday. I see it. I just seen the things that I'm seeing from him. I feel like him and what's my boy name? Richardson Hitchens. They both could be prospects of the year, or if not, take their names out of that prospect stigma, so to say. Well, stigma would be something bad, but just get them out of that prospect name and get them turn themselves into real contenders and stars, which I believe they will become. As I said, Diego Pacheco, he's going to fight against, and the guy he's fighting against is from England. They're going to be fighting in Liverpool. The guy he's fighting against, he's known in England. He's a come forward fighter, so he's not going to just quit. That's the thing that I want to see. I want to see how Diego acts and reacts to a fighter that's not going to just come and lay down. And I hope to see that he gets quality rounds, just so I get a better look into the type of fighter he is, into his characteristic. Because through the fire, through that true flame, the adversity, you get to see what a true person, what a person's true characteristics are. And character, if I'm not mistaken, it comes from a Greek word, which comes from chisel. The only type of thing you chisel is very hard objects like rocks, and it takes a lot of time to chisel something. So with that, your character is hardwired. It's hard to get rid of. So you get to see a person's character through their adversity in which they go through and the way they behave and going through that adversity. And now we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the main thing on Saturday, the main fight that I would like to see, which is Tony Harrison and Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu is an Aussie. You know who he is. Just in case you're not a big boxing fan, he is the son of the great and legendary Costa Tszyu, who took my boy Zab out. Man, I remember that fight. Man, he did my boy. Anyways, Costa Tszyu, we're not going to talk, but that's his son, Tim Tszyu, because Tim Tszyu he wants to become his own man. And in this fight, he looks to create his own name and lane by defeating Tony Harrison and getting a shot at the title, in which he was supposed to fight Charlo, but due to that injury, Tony Harrison stepped up. I really like Tony Harrison. He's an excellent boxer to me. He frustrates me in one aspect. I don't know if it's just that, I don't know if he tends to get complacent or if he gets tired, like especially on the Charlo fight. The Charlo fight, the first one, he did good to me, really good. He actually won me over because in that fight, I was really a Charlo fan. But as the fight went on, I just, I'm the type of person I can't deny a good performance, a great performance and excellence. And what I was seeing in that ring was excellence. Just the boxing, IQ, the movement. He was looking steps ahead of Charlo, in my opinion. And I was a Charlo fan at the time. And at that very moment, he turned me into a Tony Harrison fan. I seen that fight. The second fight, I was so mad at him because he came out and he was doing excellent again. And then it was just like, I don't know, did he get complacent? Did he just run out of energy? I don't know. It's just a question mark about it. And that's not the first fight. I've seen some of his other fights where he's done this very thing. And it's like, I want to say Charlo I want to say Harrison, just due to his experience and his boxing acumen, his boxing IQ, but his execution isn't there throughout the whole 12-round fights. Can he sustain it? That's my question to him. But then again, I feel like he could do it against Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu, he got dropped by Terrell Gausha. Terrell Gausha is a good boxer. I really like him. Matter of fact, he was in that card with Mark Matsai, I think he was on the undercards. He did really good, knocked bro out, knocked the guy out. Real good boxer, puncher. He got put on his bump. He got put on his butt by Terrell Gaucher, and I'm talking about Tim Tszyu. The thing is, though, I don't know that Tony Harrison has that type of power. He does have some power, but I'm not gonna say he's just a knockout artist. I could see Tony Harrison beating him, but if he has to beat him handedly in the manner that he was doing it, Charlo, I think the second fight took right before Charlo started coming back and then knocked him out. So he has to stay mentally sharp. He has to execute, and everything else. I feel like he just has all the tools. He has the IQ. He has the weapons, the acumen. He has everything. Now it's all about his execution and staying ready, staying focused on the task at hand. I don't know if that's his real problem, but that's the only thing I can take outside looking in. Maybe it's something a little deeper. I'm not sure, but I want to lean towards Tony Harrison because of the skill. I'm not saying Tim Tszyu is a bad fighter. I like him as a fighter. He has really good power. He has good power. I'm not going to say he's the hardest puncher, but the thing about him that I like is his grit, his resolve, his resiliency, because there's a lot of fighters that get knocked down, but then when they come back up, they don't have the fights figuratively and literally been knocked out of them with that knockdown. He got knocked down, wiped himself off, dusted himself off, got up, and commenced to come back in the fight and get the guy out of there in the later rounds. So that also tells me that his power can carry, he can break you down in the later rounds as well. He's at home. He has the crowd behind him. Man, it's going to be a tough fight. Tony Harrison can make it look easy, though. It's hard for me to go against Tony Harrison. The one question mark I have, the one thing that gives me cause to pause is just those. I don't know if it's, like I said, I don't know if it's complacency. I don't know if it's just he gets tired, if it's the gas tank. I'm not sure. I can't put my finger on it, but it's just something that happens towards the later rounds. I want to say a little bit after the sixth, around the sixth, seventh round, it starts to, I don't know, the light starts to dwindle, figuratively speaking, so to say, you know. I like that fight, though. If I really had to choose, man, I'm gonna say Harrison, man. I'm going with you, Harrison. I really like the way he fights. He's an intelligent fighter. He has traps. Great boxer. That jab too, man. Yeah, man. He could control you with that jab. As long as he stays sharp and focused, Tony Harrison, as long as you stay sharp and focused, I think you can make this look kind of easy. I'm just saying. I think he can make it look easy. The Tony Harrison I seen against Charlo, the two times while he was focused, as long as he's focused, his mind sharp and he's in the fight, I think Tony Harrison has what it takes to beat Tim Tszyu. I truly do. The great thing is we don't have to think about it too much longer. The fight's right around the corner. It's gonna happen on Saturday in Australia. My boy Harrison, he's from the D. What it do? Now he's gonna go down under, go to the Outback and see what it do in the Outback with the All Blacks. With the All Blacks, you know. Hey, it's gonna be an exciting fight, though. Don't think that Tony Harrison is just gonna lose. Don't think that Tim Tszyu is just gonna lay it down. Especially not in his backyard, and I don't see that type of individual. I don't see that type of characteristic in Tim Tszyu. Harrison, just Come on, let's get that third Charlo fight. And if you lose, we'll see someone new in Tim Tszyu versus Harrison. Versus Charlo. But truly, in my eyes, I'm more so leaning towards Harrison, the experience, the IQ, the intelligence, just the overall skills. I think he's an overall better fighter. The one question, which is a big question mark, is that I don't know if it's complacency again or his gas tank. He tires out in the later rounds, but I'm going with him. The only way I could see Tim Tszyu beating Harrison. Harrison has to get one of those. I don't know what it is again. Get complacent, have a lapse in concentration. If it's the gas tank thing, if that's the truth, tire out and then lose. That's the only way. Other than that, that's a wrap. That's what I think on the fights this weekend, and we'll see we'll see the outcome. Not only y'all have a great day, enjoy your lives. I'm gonna keep it up.